Hello and welcome to the CBV podcast.
Hello and welcome. I hope you're all having a great day today. So, I have 3 trailers that I would like to share my thoughts on, which are for Borat 2, WandaVision, and The Mandalorian Season 2. So if you haven't seen those 3 trailers, I'll leave a link in the description. You can pause this, you can go in, you can check those links, watch the trailers, and then tune back in and understand what I'm saying in full context. So first of all, let's talk about the trailer for Borat subsequent movie film, aka Borat 2. This was released on the 1st of October, and I was really surprised to see this. I had no idea a sequel was even being made, and to be honest, I wasn't even expecting one. I mean, it's been 14 years since the first Borat film was released, so the idea of a sequel to Borat didn't really seem needed, or like it would be as good as the original, as most people are likely to recognise Borat now, so I really didn't understand why anyone would bother to try it again. But after watching the trailer a few times, because admittedly the first time I watched it, it wasn't blowing my expectations. It did just feel what I would expect when someone suggests what a trailer for Borat 2 would look like. So it didn't blow my mind, but I watched it a few more times, and I'm actually starting to change my mind on this sequel. I think this may very well have the potential to work and do something different, and maybe even be as good as the first one, and I'll explain why. For starters, the movie trailer addresses that a lot of members of the public are going to recognise Borat now, and so that gives his character a reason in the story to give himself a disguise, which as a concept could be quite funny. I'm not sure how funny you could take that, but at least, the character of Borat is doing something different to get around that sort of issue with when it comes to a movie about a character who's got to go out, meet strangers, meet certain people, and sort of mess about with them, really, in this fake documentary. So I'm glad the film acknowledges that people will recognise Borat, because otherwise, if it hadn't addressed it, I would have just been questioning how authentic or real any of these interactions were actually going to be, and I would have just assumed that it was scripted. But now I feel like there's, I'll have more faith that what I'm watching is actually how it happened. I also like that Borat is still travelling with a companion. In the first movie, he was travelling with a character called Azimuth, I think his name was. And Azimuth was a character who was helping Borat to make the documentary. But in this film, Borat's actually travelling with his daughter, and as far as I can tell, she will be having much more involvement in this film than Azimuth ever did. Because in the first film, Azimuth was a character that was pretty much scripted, and he didn't really interact with the public, but here it's clear that Borat's daughter, as a character, will be in on the jokes when they're interacting with strangers, as she will alongside Borat, which definitely takes that character type and that character role as a companion to Borat that step further by making them part of the joke when they're messing with members of the public. This is a risky choice, because you don't want someone to just be doing the same thing as Borat when we already have him to do all that in the movie. But from what I saw in the trailer, they seem to have found an actress that really can be her own fun character and is quite believable that she is Borat's daughter, in the sense of sort of her acting with her accent and her sort of mannerisms. So, I'm excited to see what she brings to the sequel. I've got faith that she could bring an extra element of fun to it. I was also super surprised to see that this film also takes place during the outbreak of COVID. I'm now so curious to see how far they go with that topic, because the trailer has only shown Borat quarantining with some guys in their home, which, was pretty funny. I mean, I think this will make the film even more enjoyable to watch, as, these days we've been through really tough times. It's been tough times for everyone, and we really do need a movie like this to bring some joy into our lives and help us through all the changes that's going on in the world. So that was a nice surprise to see that, this film kind of overlaps with that outbreak. It's also nice to see that Borat 2 won't be losing its shock factor that we got from the first film, because there was that crazy moment where we got to see Borat dressing up as Donald Trump at the end of the trailer. I really hope that was real, and I only say that because it's surprising that no one reported that this happened. I mean, even if no one knew that Borat dressed up, I'm still surprised no one reported that someone pulled a stunt like that in front of all those people. It's just crazy, but I hope that this isn't the only shocking moment in the film and it's just been spoiled. But, I have faith that there will be some more shocking moments sprinkled across the film. And I'll be honest to say, as I've sort of already mentioned earlier, I'll say that this isn't the best trailer that we could have got for this sequel, but ironically, the fact that this trailer didn't blow my mind and wasn't, the funniest thing I'd ever seen the first time I watched it, that gives me hope that it's basically, that it gives me hope that it's because they don't want to ruin all the amazing moments in the film. The trailer didn't have a lot of laugh out loud moments, but it did put a smile on my face throughout, and now looking at it, again, I'm glad that the trailer, didn't seem to ruin other great moments, because otherwise I think if they had ruined those bigger moments, maybe this trailer would have been fantastic, but they would have ironically just ruined the movie because we knew all the jokes going into it. Hopefully that the lack of the trailer being absolutely hilarious is probably because they're just trying to keep the movie a surprise for when we sit down and finally watch and experience the film. But having said that, the trailer still had great moments like Borat trying to buy his daughter new clothes, her eating a baby decoration on the cupcake and then trying to get the baby removed, Borat trying to kill the virus with a pan. I really am surprised how much I'm actually looking forward to seeing this, because I thought seeing Sacha Baron Cohen play this character again would feel like a gimmick and a bit half-assed, but he still seems like he's got the energy for it, which is great to see. I do think this will be the last time, though, that we see Borat on the big screen as far as seeing him mess with unsuspecting members of the public goes, because his character is going to be even more well known now that he has another film out. And I also don't want his character to be overused, so this feels like a good place to leave him. I think he's going to be too famous now to make a third film, and I think this is a good place to leave that character. And as you can probably tell, I'm feeling really happy and optimistic to see this. It's exciting for a movie to be announced a month before it's released, because there's nothing worse than being excited for the announcement of a film that was made, that was announced a year in advance, and then you feel like you know everything about it by the time you go see it, because there's always too many posters, too many trailers and clips released to get the people to watch these films, and you kind of feel like you know everything because they've tried to sell you on all these big moments of the film, but you already know they're coming when it happens in the film. So, it's nice to literally not have any idea that Borat 2 was actually going to be a thing, and now have it advertised, and I don't have to wait that long for the film to be released. So that's really refreshing to see. I can't really think, the last time I remember ever a film being announced really close to its release date was probably The Cloverfield Paradox. And, say what you will about that film, it's not amazing, it's not great, but it was still exciting to know that a third installment to the Cloverfield franchise was being made, and then we literally could get to go see it without waiting that much time at all. So yeah, it's just refreshing to have it advertised this way rather than Borat 2 being announced, 6 months ago, and then we're just, wondering what is this film going to look like. But yeah, so I'm glad I really hope that there's not going to be any more trailers for Borat 2, because it shouldn't have to worry, because it's going to be streamed on Amazon, which, streaming is such a big part of how a lot of people are coping with today's world. So, tons of people are easily going to be able to play the film in the comfort of their own homes. And, Borat's name alone will get people interested. We know who he is and what he does, so we don't really need any more advertisement than that. I think the first film is advertisement in itself and what you should expect, and just this nice little tease of a trailer really sets up how this is going to be slightly different to the first film. So, I'm really optimistic, and I really can't wait to see this. I have no self-control when it comes to checking in on news for about films and when the next trailer is going to come out, or the poster or set photos. So I literally have no control at stopping myself from kind of spoiling things, but that's just the way I am, and I don't mind even if I know things before the trailer, before the film comes out. I still enjoy it for what it is. But with Borat, I think it's really important that I know nothing else about this movie, because it's all about comedy, and comedy is hard to rewatch. If you found something funny the first time, it's going to be hard to rewatch properly in context of the film, because you know the joke and you can see it coming. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm already sold on it. Don't do any more trailers. I will be watching it on October 23rd on Amazon. So yeah, they've sold me on that. I'll be there to watch it. So that's all my thoughts on Borat 2. Now we're going to move on to talk about the WandaVision trailer, which was released on the 21st of September. It was definitely interesting, and it grabbed my attention, as any trailer should, so it was a very good trailer, I think. I'm really glad to see Marvel go into uncharted territory for this universe and make a show that is set in the style of a sitcom. It also explains the choice of naming the series WandaVision, as, not only are Wanda and Vision a couple, so it makes sense to call it WandaVision, but this is literally Wanda living in her own television world. I started to feel like we'd seen everything bizarre that Marvel was willing to do with the MCU, and I'm thankfully proven wrong, and they are going to keep making things outside the box of the formula. So this looks like a lot of fun. Having said that, just because it looks fun, that doesn't yet sell me that this is a particular storyline you can explore and for as long as a series without it feeling stretched out. But I still have faith that Marvel Studios can pull it off, as this is their first show that really relies on your understanding of the MCU movies, unlike Daredevil, Jessica Jones and Punisher, where they were like hinted at being connected to the MCU, but by the end they just kind of ignored the film's continuity completely. So, it's cool to see WandaVision explore the sitcom world within the MCU and that style, because it's a heightened reality, the sitcom world, and I think that actually would help the average viewer to accept all the bizarre stuff that's going on, because the sitcom setting also really helps acknowledge and embrace just how strange a couple WandaVision really are, and I think that was so smart to also address it in the trailer. For those who aren't that particularly familiar with the fact that in the comics they are a couple, it kind of looks like the show will explore sort of different eras of sitcom as we go from black and white to color television, and we even see Wanda changing her environment in one shot in the trailer, just around her, like the furniture's getting updated to the next I suppose decade of sitcom. So that's definitely an add-on. That's a good bonus. I just assumed it would take place in a modern sitcom setting, so the fact that they're going to be exploring different decades of sitcom styles is even better to me. It's also a bonus to use this sitcom setting to have a to sort of have an excuse for Wanda and Vision to be wearing those cheesy, more comic book accurate versions of their appearances, which I presume is an episode set on Halloween, because we see Vision in one shot wearing his cheesy Vision costume, and he's surrounded by children and parents dressed up, so that looks like that takes place on Halloween. But yeah, so that was cool. That was a bonus to see them in the more comic book accurate costumes. I'm also glad to see that the whole show won't be set in the sitcom style world with just laughter tracks playing in the background, because we do see more of a dramatic scene when Vision meets up with this new character in a car, and it's sort of revealed to him that he's dead. He's not real. Wanda has just recreated him in her mind. So that was really interesting to take a step back away from the sitcom laughter track world and actually get to have some dramatic scenes, because I wasn't sure how they were going to handle that. So it just enables us to take a break from it and get into the substance of the story with more drama. Because if you didn't know, when that revelation happens, there's a pretty big revelation for this version of Vision, because it's not the real Vision. If you haven't seen Infinity War, then spoiler alert, but Vision is actually killed by Thanos. So as far as I'm aware, unless this show explains something different, this version of Vision is dead, and the version we're seeing on screen isn't actually real. He's just a manifestation of Wanda's mind and powers. I'm just really curious to find out how this version of Vision, created in Wanda's world, is going to cope with the idea that he isn't actually real. I mean, maybe him coming to terms with this discovery is actually what helps ease Wanda's mind back into the real world by the end of the show, as everything around Wanda is actually just created in her own mind to cope with the loss of her love of her life, Vision. So that'll just be really interesting. Also, I'm assuming this show is going to be 1 season long, because I mean, I don't know how far you can stretch the story out. I suppose you could keep going. Like, in the second season, maybe it doesn't have to have a sitcom setting, because, you know, the name of the show still makes sense, WandaVision. Like, at first I just thought they were calling that because they're a couple, so a lot of the times these days when you see an iconic couple, you combine their names to make a new name. But so they could still go outside the sitcom style in season 2, and I'm just trying to picture where this is all heading. I did hear rumors that this at some point is meant to connect to the new Doctor Strange 2 movie that's going to be coming out at some point. So I'm really curious to see how this show connects with the rest of the universe, or if it's just going to be its own thing. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this trailer. I love that it's different to anything we've seen in the MCU. It's a new story, the actors look great, the cinematography and the effects look top-notch, so I really don't have any complaints. Just again, the one concern that I'm still having is that I'm not convinced yet, I'm getting there, but I'm not convinced yet that this season couldn't have just been made into a movie instead of a show. I'm just a bit nervous that they're just going to stretch material out too long just to make it a series, because one of my sort of minor complaints with The Punisher season 1 was just that it did feel like it had too many episodes just to stretch the story out. So, you know, I kind of would prefer like maybe a Sherlock style season with these, like just make them long episodes, but just make 3 episodes of them, just because they're also connected to a cinematic universe. So I feel like maybe doing it the Sherlock way would be the best way to have these episodes, but I'm presuming there's going to be about 8 episodes that are like, I don't know, 40 minutes long. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope I'll be proven wrong, and this actually will flow very well as a season. But yeah, it all looks good. Overall, I think it's a really fun trailer. It's a very successfully good trailer, and I think it did its job very well. So overall, thumbs up. That's all I've got to say about the WandaVision trailer. Now, let's move on to talk about the Mandalorian trailer for Season 2. This trailer was actually really underwhelming for me. And I say that because I had a lot of fun watching the first season, but the trailer for the second season really hasn't excited me in any way, because nothing feels fresh and new like the first trailer did. And I know that's because we've already explored the world in the first season, but it's just, you could still do new things with this world. Like when the first trailer came out for the first season, it was exciting to know that we were going to finally see the Star Wars universe from a different perspective, from the perspective of a bounty hunter, and you know that it was going to have a space western feel that basically Solo was trying but kind of was lacking a little bit, or just didn't do as successfully. But this trailer for the second season just feels like more of the same, except now instead of protecting Baby Yoda, the Mandalorian is now going to be finding that child a new home. And I think that's my big issue with the show in general. As much as I love the show, and I will praise the show for its achievement for that first season, just my my minor complaint that is slowly growing is that even though Baby Yoda is fun, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's literally there as fan service. I think, that character would still have worked if he was a different species and didn't look like Yoda. And I know it's cute to see like a Baby Yoda, but you could literally have changed that character to be a different species and it still would have worked. I actually think it would have worked better because, we're finding, this is something the Mandalorian hasn't seen before, and so therefore naturally it would make sense to have it be something that us as an audience hasn't seen before. So when we're discovering what this thing is and why everyone wants it, that creates the element of intrigue and mystery around it. But as soon as you see Baby Yoda use the Force, you pretty much get flashbacks to every scene that Yoda's ever used the Force in. Whereas if we'd had a different character design, that would have been really cool. Like, oh my god, this creature's got the Force. I mean, I'm not a big fan of us using the Force in this show either, but that just would have felt a lot more natural and less forced with the fan service. So yeah, it's just literally my one criticism. And also the fact that he's the same species as Yoda, who is, the most powerful Jedi ever, it immediately just took away any element of mystery that I could have felt and shared with the characters when they discover what this young creature is. And even though I was fine with Baby Yoda being a big part of the first season, I was disappointed that the storyline wasn't resolved by the end of the season. So now for me, it just feels really dragged out to still be focusing on transporting Baby Yoda to a community of Jedis, which that's the other issue attached to this. I don't want to see Jedis. I'm here for bounty hunting. You can have the occasional, I don't know, I think Baby Yoda's as far as you should take it. You should have a creature that can use the Force. But I don't want Season 2 to have the Mandalorian actually find Jedi. Like, I just want to stay clear from that. I would rather just focus on bounty hunting. Like, you don't have to have Baby Yoda raised by Jedi. I don't think so. I think you could have him raised by any other community. Like in the first season, the Mandalorian, he thought he found a planet perfect for Baby Yoda, but they still found Baby Yoda. So, they explored the idea that he doesn't have to be with his own race, or he doesn't have to be with a race that just happened to be Jedis. Like, you could have him just with another culture, and maybe that'll be interesting for the future of the show if that ever comes back. But we're just still sticking around with Baby Yoda, and it's just starting to get a bit boring for me. It's becoming less fun and more, not torturous, just I feel like there's no danger because, if the Baby Yoda gets kidnapped, I'm not going to think that, oh, Baby Yoda's in danger. But if it was a creature that I had no connection with and it didn't remind me of anything, I'd be like, oh, maybe they will kill the creature. Maybe that could happen. But the Mandalorian's going to go in and save him. So it just takes the element of any risks and stakes in the dangerous situations. It just kind of removes all tension and mystery revolved around that character. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but really, I think it would have been better if he wasn't the same species as Yoda. But that's just my opinion. Overall, this trailer didn't look bad at all as far as quality goes. It still looks as good in quality as the first season. I'm just not convinced that this season will have a plot that I will want to encourage seeing or having the filmmakers tell. I'm just disappointed that this show can't focus on something other than Baby Yoda as an overarching storyline. I just didn't feel any tension in season 1. I don't know, it's just my big problem. And I know I'm rambling on a lot about it, but it really is the big problem for me with the trailer for season 2, and just what was a minor problem with season 1. But obviously I didn't realize we're going to be stretching the story even longer to the point where we're now still trying to find Baby Yoda a home. I know I'm focusing a lot on this, but it is just the one thing that bothers me. And I still did have fun with season 1 despite that, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy what season 2 has to offer anymore. I could be absolutely proven wrong. The season 2 could be amazing, but right now, from what the trailer has shown, I'm just underwhelmed. I really want to be proven wrong though, because the show has got great moments and a lot of potential. I'll be curious to eventually find out how everyone's feeling about season 2. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on The Mandalorian. Fingers crossed, it's good. I'm just not sold on the trailer for that one. Sorry to end on a downer, but I will give it a go. I'll give it the opportunity it deserves, and I'll get around to reviewing it at some point. Thanks for listening to my thoughts on these trailers. Like and share to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already to keep up to date with all my movie talk. And if you'd like to support the channel even more, then please check out a link in the description below to the Undecided's latest single called Take It Off, which is now available on iTunes as well as many other digital platforms. Until next time, stay safe and take care.